Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, every year at this time at the end of May, we traditionally gather at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to celebrate Africa Day, a festival that symbolizes the indomitable will of the African people and their struggle for freedom and human dignity. This year's celebration coincides with the 20th anniversary of the work of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union. It is one of the main organs of the Pan-African Organization and has made great efforts to establish a modern African security architecture, political and socio-economic integration of the countries of the African continent, and to ensure its due position in the system of international economic relations. We in Russia are pleased to note that it continues to gain political weight confidently and has become one of the most important pillars of the emerging polycentrism of another world order. The dynamic integration process, the rapid growth of markets, and the active development of commerce have enabled African countries to speak more and more vigorously in international affairs and speak with one voice, including in a clear affirmation of the region's growing global role. He mentioned the Russian-backed membership of the African Union. I will also refer to the African Peace Initiative on Ukraine proposed by President Ramaphosa in the Group of 20. The African Group considered meeting with President Putin during its meetings with him in June and July last year. Russia and Africa have historically been linked by close ties of friendship. In the era of liberation from colonialism, the Soviet Union helped the region to strive for independence, supported young African countries on multilateral platforms, provided economic and technical assistance for the formation and development of national economy, and helped to ensure reliable national defense capabilities. Today, the task of combating neo-colonialism and unavoidable practices is at the forefront. The West's approach has changed, but the essence of its policy towards African countries remains the same. That is, to subdue all people to their will to live at the expense of others and to use more sophisticated forms of exploitation within the so-called rules-based order. We are ready to support the countries of the continent under today's conditions, strengthen their sovereignty, solve urgent socio-economic problems, and safeguard Africa's legitimate and equal position in the modern world, including the reform process of the United Nations Security Council. Unlike the former metropolises, we build relations with African friends on the basis of equality and honest partnership, without politicizing pressure, blackmail, and interference in internal affairs. According to President Putin's recent assessment, the real breakthrough is the Russia-Africa summit. During the two summits held in St. Petersburg last July, it was confirmed that our approach to establishing communication among states is consistent in accordance with the principles of international law, first and foremost the principles of the Charter of the United Nations, in all its entirety and interrelatedness. Agreed mechanisms for practical cooperation. A new dialogue format has been established in all areas to regularly review the progress of the summit and prepare for the next summit. Russia-Africa Partnership Forum Conference at the Foreign Ministers Level 1. Such a meeting should be held this fall. Interparliamentary and interparty relations are developing rapidly, and we are working to expand our diplomatic presence in Africa. Last December, the Russian embassy in Burkina Faso resumed its activities. We are now preparing to open full diplomatic missions in Sierra Leone, Nigeria, and the Republic of South Sudan. We note with satisfaction the growth of Russian trade with Africa. It rose 30% last year and made about $25 billion. Aim to develop cooperation in high-tech fields more actively. including peaceful space exploration, atoms, digital technology. In order to successfully promote joint projects, it is necessary to establish mechanisms that will make our mutually beneficial economic ties self-sufficient, protect them from illegal actions by the collective West, and develop humanitarian cooperation, including health and population health and epidemiological well-being. In April, Uganda held a Russian-African International Conference on combating violence. With infectious diseases. This will be held regularly from now on, strengthening our partnership on the crucial issue of biosafety. Over the past year, Russia has provided free food as humanitarian aid to Burkina Faso, Mali, Somalia, the Central African Republic, Eritrea, and Zimbabwe. We continue to fulfill all our obligations in the export supply of agricultural products and fertilizers. Energy and other commodities urgently needed by Africans. We continue to provide support and strengthen human resource potential, increase the number of scholarships, open all new branches of Russian universities, and establish a network of open education centers. Today, there are nearly 35,000 African students studying in Russia, of whom about 7,000 come from our federal budget. It is gratifying that contacts between academia, society, and business are expanding. Of course, one of our priorities, not the other, is to promote security and stability in Africa, and to be firmly committed to African issues in accordance with the principles set by Africans themselves. The African solution upholds this principle as a permanent member of the Security Council. For example, in the context of contacts with the African Union, sub-regional organizations, and individual countries of the continent. I would like to express my gratitude to my African friends for their responsible position on the Ukraine crisis. I have already mentioned the relevant initiatives of the countries of the African continent. Despite your obsessive attempts to drag African countries into the West's Russophobic movement, you continue to be committed to fair assessments and fair approaches. Dear colleagues, the potential for Russia-Africa cooperation in various fields is indeed huge. We will continue to implement it together as a goal and elevate our relationship to the level of a true strategic partnership. Once again, I would like to congratulate you on a happy holiday, wish all African countries and peoples a happy world, and wish you and your loved ones good health and all the best. Thank you.
Всяческих успехов. Спасибо.